Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I, as always, am Grestar, and this is another reaction to a death battle, Tanjiro versus Jonathan Joestar. As always, the link to the original is in the description below. So we have Tanjiro from Demon Slayer and Jonathan Joestar from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I don't know which JoJo Jonathan Joestar is. I know that we've had one on Death Battle before, and then I know that we've had Dio since then, but he's not a JoJo. But I just don't know which JoJo this is, because the whole thing, as far as I'm aware, is that, like, each of the main characters is a JoJo in some way, right? Like, it just kind of goes down the family line. I don't know which one Jonathan is. And so, like, the reason that matters is because of, like, the power creep within the series. I don't know a lot about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but yeah, we have had, I think, just 2 JoJo's characters so far, and I think that they've both been really rather powerful. So, yeah. That's just what I'm going into this death battle with. Meanwhile, I have never seen Demon Slayer. I watched the first episode with a friend because he liked it and he wanted me to get into it. It did not really work. Because at the time I was just in a place where mentally or whatever, you know, I wasn't ready to watch something new. I wasn't ready to start a new show like that. But also I think that the first episode was really bad in terms of pacing. It just did not execute it well at all from what I recall. Like, I remember scoffing at it, you know? Like, I had things to say about the first episode of Demon Slayer. And so I never watched it. Things I've heard have made me not want to watch it even more. Just, you know, like, obviously, Demon Slayer must be popular for a reason, right? It just, I didn't really see the appeal to it. Like, the plot seemed fine. It wasn't original, but it seemed fine, you know? But, I don't know. I just never saw the appeal. And yes, if I get dislikes on this video, I'm now going to assume that it's because people can't handle when other people have opinions. Gosh. So my point in saying that is basically just to say, I have an idea of the general power level in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I don't really know for Demon Slayer. That being said, I am impressed with what I know from JoJo's, and so right now I'm leaning in favor of Jonathan Joestar being the victor of this death battle, so we'll have to see if the analysis for Tanjiro turns my opinion around. So with that, let's get to watching. So here we go for another death battle, Tanjiro versus Jonathan Joestar. Take it away.
Tanjiro Kamado, the sun-breathing Demon Slayer swordsman.
Jonathan Joestar, the very first JoJo who ever
The very first.
These
okay.
2 anime monster hunters.
So that's what I was referring to. Like, if it was the first JoJo, then I imagine the power is going to be considerably less than, like, looking at the most recent JoJo.
And it's our
Then that even could be wrong, but just in general with, you know, power scaling, power creep in anime, that kind of thing, yeah. We'll see.
Daisho Japan, an era of unparalleled progress and imperial domination. But
Okay.
this empire had a sickness, a rot at its core.
Oh no.
Demons. This race of superhuman cannibals originated from one being, their all-powerful progenitor, Muzan Kibutsuji.
Who
I
spent
see.
his evenings slaughtering families and eating them.
That's
including
pretty rude.
The Kamado clan.
Though one of them fatefully survived.
Right,
the
scroll.
eldest son,
Yeah.
Tanjiro.
Well,
Oh,
the
you're not
good
talking.
news is your
Wasn't it?
sister Nezuko
Yeah, I was gonna
is
say.
alive, too.
Also
Bad
her.
news is she's a demon now, so sorry, champ. I'm chalking this day up as an L.
But Tanjiro possessed the golden heart of an anime protagonist, and he devoted his life to curing Nezuko's curse and ending Muzan's evil once and for all.
So he joined the Demon Slayer Corps, a secret group of badass demon hunters with badass swords.
I didn't even
Forged
know it
from
was
the
a
unique
curse.
Sunlight-absorbing ore, the Nichiren blade is one of the only weapons that can decapitate a demon and end their unholy existence for
Oh.
good. Especially when combined with the Slayer's fancy pants katana magic.
It isn't katana magic. Okay, well, it's totally katana magic.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
not what it's called.
It looks like
it's
it.
Breathing, which is so lame. Anybody can do that. Oh God.
Calm down, Boomstick.
The
You're gonna hurt
use of
yourself.
breathing is crucial to real-life martial arts. Deeper breaths massage the organs below the diaphragm, relaxing your body and lowering its energy requirement, while simultaneously giving you more energy to use.
Huh.
Tanjiro mastered this breathing shit so well, he could do it in his sleep. literally 24/7.
This is total concentration breathing, a technique developed by the Demon Slayers in order to massively increase their physical abilities to match their blatantly superhuman foes.
Okay.
Through the measured intake of oxygen, users can boost their concentration, reactions, and even manipulate
So their
the flow of their
superhuman
blood.
abilities
This
just
can
come
help in
through
slowing down
breathing?
poisons or speeding up the coagulation of wounds.
Which means he can use it to quickly recover in case of injury or fatigue. And Demon Slayers can combine their breathing with their blades for, well, katana magic.
Each breathing style is
Okay,
a separate form
sure.
of sword combat. The first form Tanjiro mastered was water breathing, a flexible defensive style where a user's blade summons water to slice like a raging current.
Tanjiro's literal boneheaded stubbornness made him a prodigy Demon Slayer in no time.
He proved to be a tactical genius in combat, able to discern an opponent's weaknesses and exploit them in the heat of the moment. It was almost as if demon slaying was in his very blood.
Huh, imagine
Well, it
that.
was. Hundreds of years ago, the creator of the very first breathing style taught this knowledge to Tanjiro's ancestors, who passed it down to Tanjiro himself.
This was the
They-
dance
what?
of the
They
fire
did?
god, the Hinokami Kagura. Sun
Maybe they
breathing.
shouldn't have
With
died to the
sun-breathing,
demon then.
Tanjiro's sword bursts
I'm
into
sure there are
godlike
plot
flames that
reasons.
slow a
I
demon's
just-
healing factor and can turn into a wicked fire dragon.
Sun
Okay.
breathing increases Tanjiro's speed and power, but at a cost. It will quickly tire him out, and overuse could severely debilitate him.
How
Which
quickly
can
are we
also
talking?
Turn on this really distracting birthmark on his forehead.
Through intense stress and exertion, Tanjiro can activate this Demon Slayer mark, which boosts his already crazy strength and speed even further.
And gives him access to the see-through world. Basically, it slows down time for Tanjiro and gives him x-ray vision.
This allows
Okay.
him such a precise understanding of his opponent's muscle movements that he can predict their future actions. Sort of like a spider sense. He can
So
even do the
how
same
fast
with just his
is
sense
he,
of
though?
Smell. No Demon Slayer mark needed. Not only can his nose detect people from hundreds of yards away,
Which
it
is
lets
weird.
him find an opponent's opening in battle even easier than before.
You'd think being an
How does
anime
the sense of
swordsman
smell
would
help
make
you find an
Tanjiro
opening
even
in battle
edgier
like
than
that?
his blade, but he's basically the group mom, with an innocent little cherub sweetness matched only by his raw badassery.
Tanjiro is tough enough to survive being stabbed in the stomach, fast enough to dodge lightning, and
Lightning.
strong enough to slice
There we
through
go,
and
thank you.
derail a literal demon train.
That demon turned himself into a train whiz. Funniest shit I've ever seen.
That's
And
kinda
this
weird,
demon
but
Doma
okay.
was able to freeze the air into this giant ice statue in only a few seconds. That takes a lot of energy.
And Tanjiro's managed to keep up with similarly powerful demons like Hantengu, Akaza, and eventually the strongest of them all, Muzan himself.
With the help of his friends, of course.
Of
It
course,
would take
friendship
all
is
their
magic and all
efforts
that.
countless sacrifices. But Tanjiro and the Demon Slayers would continue to fight to realize their dream of a world that is safe for humanity. And whatever Inosuke is.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so I got some things from that.
England,
I got some things from that.
universe-ly
We'll have to see what
shit-tastic time to
Jonathan
be
is about.
alive.
Because again,
Whether you
first
were a lone
JoJo,
street
so
rat or a wealthy noble. Okay, well, that last one probably wasn't so bad.
That is, unless your dad, in all his infinite wisdom, decided to adopt the single greatest asshole in human history and make him your brother. That'd make you one unlucky schmuck.
That would make
I don't know if
you
he's the
Jonathan
greatest a-hole
And
in
you
all of
heard
human
Wiz?
history.
Everybody just
There've been
calls
some
him
pretty big
JoJo.
a-holes.
In an effort to take the Joestar fortune for himself, Jonathan's new brother Dio dedicated his life to breaking Jonathan emotionally, turning him into a docile puppet. But after being bullied, beaten, and thoroughly traumatized, something awakened deep in Jonathan's heart. The raging
Yes?
fire of a gentleman.
I don't think beating the
Uh,
living piss out of Dio was gentle, but
I
it
don't
sure
know about
was
that.
satisfying. Too bad it didn't last forever, because only a few years later, Dio got his revenge when he turned into a vampire and killed Papa Joestar.
No, Papa Joestar!
Classic Dio.
With Dio now bent on world domination, Jonathan would need more than his righteous fist to save the day.
Yeah, he needed a creepy floating Italian man that punches frogs with the power of the sun.
It
What?
wasn't just any creepy floating Italian man. It was Will Antonio Zeppeli, a
course.
practitioner of Hamon, an ancient martial art designed specifically to do battle against vampires like Dio. Through
Ah.
their breaths, Hamon users can blast a hot electric ripple out of their bodies and flood it into their opponents. Huh.
That's what Haman means in English.
Yeah.
The ripple. Man, if I had a nickel for every anime protagonist who killed monsters with the power of breathing, well, that'd be 2 nickels. But let's agree, it's weird that it happened
It
twice.
is.
Haman energy massively increases a user's physical abilities and allows them to disintegrate vampires with a single punch. In order to fight Dio, Zeppeli taught Jonathan everything he knew.
Like the zoom punch, where Jonathan stretches his arm and punches an opponent from far away like he jumped on a gum-gum fruit.
Really?
He does this by using the ripple to dull the pain of dislocating his shoulder before
no.
snapping his back. That might sound crazy, but there are real-life examples of breathing basically giving people superpowers.
There
Like
are,
the Dutch
but
adventurer
yeah,
Wim Hof,
it's not
who
to
can
the same
survive
extent.
being nearly totally submerged in ice water for almost 2 hours. Through forced exhalation, Hoff drops his oxygen levels in order to supercharge his body's thermoregulation and release euphoric chemicals to numb the pain, just like the zoom punch.
Fun is basically just like the Eastern idea of chi. Voila! Which is circulated through the body by, what else? Breathing.
Okay.
And just like chi, it can do lots of crazy shit.
Like walking on water, magnetizing plants, or controlling an enemy's muscles. It can even be transferred through solid surfaces like metal.
And he can
That's
catch
cool.
his fists on fire and slam you senseless with his patented Sunlight Yellow Overdrive. It'll leave any monster smiling and satisfied.
Jonathan took these skills as he, Zeppeli, and the definitely not just there for exposition Speedwagon invaded Dio's domain and waged war against an army of bloodthirsty zombies.
Including Dio's right-hand monsters, Bruford and Tarkus. Tarkus was strong enough to rip entire boulders out of the ground and slice through a cliff with one swing. He can even
Okay.
snap JoJo's neck and cut our old pal Zeppeli in half. Rest in peace, creepy floating Italian man. Sorry
Wait,
you
so-
had to be born the mentor. Hope none of your
So are they
relatives
okay,
die
or-
horrifying death too.
Before succumbing, Zeppeli's last act was to pass his ripple onto Jonathan, not only allowing him to heal his own broken neck, but also combine their energies together.
And making JoJo strong enough to cut through Tarkus's giant arm. Not with his nifty new sword Pluck, with his bare goddamn hand.
With
Oh,
his power
I
boost,
see.
Jonathan faced Dio once and for all, and fisted him with his raging hot ripple. Wait.
Now, Fisted Dio was pretty impressive, considering Dio could later fight faster than light stands like Star Platinum. Hell,
Later, though,
even other Ripple
right?
users like Joseph can dodge beams of light too.
But more than his strength or speed, or even Haman, Jonathan's greatest strength was always his intelligence and unstoppable determination.
Okay.
It was that burning drive for justice that defeated Dio all those years ago, and the same one that defeated him again. But this victory was bittersweet.
He may be built like a brick shithouse, but Jonathan's got the personality of a golden retriever. Even after everything Dio did to him,
So they're
all the
both
lies
pretty
and
puppy-
abuse and dad
puppy
murder,
dog in
Jonathan
nature,
still
Tanjiro and
loved
Joe.
him like a brother, and still
Is it okay to
cried
call
those
him Joe?
hot, wet 80s man-made tears.
And even after Dio returned on Jonathan's wedding night to murder him and steal his body,
Pretty
Jonathan
rude.
sacrificed himself so his wife and unborn child could escape. But he did not die in vain. His bloodline would continue throughout the ages, spawning a line of illustrious and bizarre heroes who would crush Dio's plans and save the universe.
And they all had one thing in common: his name, JoJo. Wait,
In a-
the ripple is
In a
dead.
manner. No, that's not how the ripple is.
All right, the combatants are
Okay.
set. We've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a death battle! And pause. Okay, so I still think JoJo's going to win this one, actually. Just trying again to pay attention to very particular feats first, to get those out of the way, because again, like usually in death battle, you need to rule out a few things, a few basic things, and then you can look at the more unique things that the characters bring to the, to the table. So like the first couple things, of course, are like strength, durability, and speed. So in terms of speed, the fastest that we seem to get for Tanjiro was dodging lightning. But they threw in really quickly for Jonathan, unless I misunderstood, that JoJo was able to dodge beams of light. Lightning, I believe, is like 30,000 times slower than light. Unless, again, like you're looking at like the part of the lightning bolt that like strikes afterward, because like it has to connect first and then it zips through really quickly. But that part's like really close to light. It's like a third. But then the first part of lightning, which I assume is what they mean, was like 30,000 times slower. I think. I Googled it a while ago. We had a brief discussion in the comments, me and some people, or like one dude, I don't remember. But there was a thing. And so that's a big difference. Moving like Jonathan at the speed of light and, you know, Tanjiro at speed of lightning, we'll say, you know? And so then let's look at their damage outputs. So we had Tanjiro who could like, it's something with the statue and like ice and breath and stuff that I thought was like 40 tons or something like that. And then, or was it 40? Who knows? I think there was a 4-0 involved. But then Jonathan fighting the one dude who, to be fair, like cut his friend in half and like broke his neck. I think that guy was outputting like double that amount of force. And granted, yes, did hurt them, but then they merged together with the Italian dude's like dying breath, you know? And then Jonathan was like even more powerful. And I think another big thing is that Jonathan, while he does have like weaponry that he can use, and you know, can also like modify it with like breathing techniques and, you know, chi kinds of things in a similar manner to what Tanjiro can do. He also doesn't need weapons. I never really, I don't remember at least a part of Tanjiro's where he could just like fight hand to hand. Whereas Jonathan Joestar was able to, and in fact like cut the dude in half who had cut the Italian dude in half with his hand, right? So I think that's a pretty big thing. I guess stands are not, like when I was going into this, I actually was anticipating Jonathan Joestar having a stand, and I was like, well, unless Tanjiro has some sort of psychic, you know, power, he won't be able to even see the stand. And so that'll be like huge in Jonathan's favor, but he doesn't seem to have a stand, so that's not a thing that we have to worry about. But like, Tanjiro can see like the slight muscle movements in his like slow down time x-ray vision sort of thing, and so he can predict what Jonathan Joestar is going to do as far as like, you know, fighting is concerned. But when you have Tanjiro at such a lower movement speed, if we're talking again like 30,000 times slower than Jonathan, you know, lightning compared to speed of light, then I don't really think that matters all that much. Like, yes, it's nice to have some sort of like foresight when you're in a fight to the death, but if you can't avoid what's coming, that won't do you that much good. The ripple could also like tear Tanjiro apart as far as I understand it, because we saw one guy's arm like it bubbled up and then was just gone, like it just melted basically. Like I feel like Jonathan could do that to Tanjiro's entire body, and he wouldn't even have to touch Tanjiro himself, because apparently you can transfer that ripple through like a sword, you know? So I don't know how exactly you transfer the ripple. Like I wonder if like Jonathan got stabbed, could he just transfer it like that? You know, where like, would it actually be bad if Tanjiro were able to get a hit off on him, because then Jonathan could just blow him up? Like they both have some amount of regeneration, but so like right now I don't know the extent of their regeneration exactly. They didn't seem, neither of them seem to be the thing where it's like, oh well, they were decapitated and then just grew their head back, you know? It seems more like a minor thing, especially with Tanjiro's, because his was just like breathing and it closed up wounds. Whereas at the very least, Jonathan, I know, like it fixed a broken neck on the spot. So that seems a little bit more substantial, and I could have just missed things or misunderstood on Tanjiro's part. But Jonathan seems like a little more powerful and faster too, from what, but since I'm not sure what Tanjiro is capable of right now, I'm just kind of thinking of them as like canceling each other out. But either way, I think like Jonathan is able, I think he would be able to get off a finishing blow. And I don't want to say that Tanjiro wouldn't be able to. I think that he could win sometimes. But I think that with Jonathan's speed, his own versatility, his own experience, just things like that, and of course, you know, the power and durability along with it, I think that he has what it takes to beat Tanjiro more often than not. So I'm going to say that Jonathan Joestar is going to win this one and play. They're just there together.
Step aside! I've sworn to slay all of Dio's demonic minions.
I don't know who you are.
She's out of there.
But you better leave her alone.
You poor wretch, shackled by the chains of this harpy's insidious mind control. On my honor, as a gentleman, I will free you!
As a gentleman!
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Did you bump your head?
Okay, I mean, fair enough.
Total concentration! Water breathing! Most unorthodox! You fight with valor, noble swordsman, but I know the burning passion of my heart will carry me through!
Aw, he's kind of adorable. Like a puppy. I wonder if he has a caretaker nearby.
The stretch is just disconcerting.
You're mine! Valiant footwork!
So there was no ripple transfer there. She's carrying out a tree. Who are you, Harley Quinn?
No kamikaze! Nice try!
Incredible! You could teach me a thing or two!
Just think the kind of friends they could be under different circumstances.
His breathing is carrying some kind of energy. Like me. And that means I know how to stop him.
I just have to destroy his lungs!
He's focusing on my neck! Does he know?
Okay, I mean, attacking someone's neck with a sword in any battle would be good. Typically not people's most defensible part. Come on, Jonathan!
Wait! He's going for my lungs!
2 inches off. Did he dodge?
2 inches! I would just leave the sword in there.
Sister.
On my honor as a gentleman, I will protect her with my life.
Tanjiro, you could have said something at the start! Tanjiro! I like the ending.
Right? I'm only.
But also, like,
really hard, holy
why
shit.
did you only decide to say that once you're about to die?
Paper, Tanjiro did initially seem to have more advantages in this bout.
For sure. He'd been training for way longer than Jonathan, and with way more experience.
Oh, was he training for longer?
Tanjiro's Demon Slayer journey took place over a couple of years, while Jonathan's Ripple training was less than a month.
Tanjiro was
Oh.
obviously a superior swordsman
I missed
with a
that.
variety of powerful techniques and katana magic, while Jonathan really only improvised as a swordsman.
But that's where the advantages stop. Sure, Jonathan wasn't a natural swordsman, but he more than made up for it in hand-to-hand combat, while Tanjiro was pretty much out of options without a blade.
Jonathan
Yes.
also had an
I got
edge
that
in
part.
strength. Comparing Tanjiro to Doma and Jojo to
It was
Tarkus,
40. Okay,
Jonathan
good,
was
yeah.
over twice as strong.
See, I knew it was at
and
least
while
doubled.
Tanjiro later fought the more powerful Muzan. Jonathan did the same with Dio.
He was way faster too. While Tanjiro and his pals could dodge lightning, we can compare Jonathan to other Ripple users like Joseph, who could dodge light, which is over 3,000 times faster. That might seem crazy, but in Part 3, Dio was able to keep up with stands like Star Platinum, which can move faster than light. Dio did this on his own, and that was while using Jonathan's body.
Even with multiple ways to predict Jonathan's movements and see the flow of his Ripple with X-ray vision, Tanjiro would not have been fast enough to keep up.
Especially with the Ripple backing him up. Sure, the water and fire Tanjiro generates is impressive, but Jonathan was tough enough to power through it. Tanjiro, though, had no way to defend against the Ripple bypassing his durability and directly messing with his organs.
Such
Yeah.
as manipulating his muscles like a puppeteer, or directly shutting off his brain or heart, something other Ripple users have done to ordinary humans with
Oh.
a single zap. And Jonathan had the opportunity to do this literally
'Cause
every
I thought about-
time Tanjiro blocked his
Yes!
blade.
Sure,
Yes!
Tanjiro could
I
recover
did think
himself
about, like,
with
the
a
muscle
breath,
control.
but
I didn't
that'd
think
be
about,
a
like,
breath
brain
spent
heart
healing
stuff,
and
honestly.
Not, fighting.
And while sun breathing's overuse was dangerous to Tanjiro, JoJo's Hamon had no such drawback.
which meant that JoJo could keep fighting for as long as he needed to.
Tanjiro was never going to go down easy, but Jonathan's speed, Hamon, and righteous gentlemanly fists carried him to victory.
Cool.
Jonathan took Tanjiro's breath away.
The
Yes.
winner, Jonathan Joestar.
Claps for Jonathan, who I may have called Joseph
Thank you
at
for
1 or
watching.
2 points
Stay
in this
tuned.
video,
We'll
and
be
if I
jumping into
did,
the
I
next matchup
apologize. I do know I
next
called him
week.
Joe.
You can always get more Death Battle right now by clicking
Whether
one of
that
those
was short
boxes
for
right over
Joseph
there,
or
and
JoJo
by
in my
downloading the
mind,
battle music
who's to
linked
say?
down below.
Next time on Death Battle, it's Thor and Vegetable. Thor versus Vegeta, there it is. All right. Both of whom have been in death battles before. Do I specifically remember details of those fights? No, I don't. But cool. All right, so let's talk about this death battle then. So I was right, yay me. So I really did misunderstand apparently JoJo's or Jonathan Joestar's experience, like actual experience and like with sword fighting and stuff like that. I did think that he'd been at fighting in general longer than Tanjiro had. Part of that is, I guess he just looks older. And I don't know. I know there are cases in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure where like they'll look older, but they're still actually just like 16 years old or something, you know? It's really hard to tell with anime ages. It's so hard. But that's probably part of it. And another part is I didn't think that there were big time skips in Demon Slayer. And I thought a big part of it was the fact that Tanjiro was like brand new to it. And sure, was maybe a bit of a prodigy, but I didn't realize that he actually had years of experience already. Or like at this point in the manga or whatnot. So that was on me for misunderstanding or missing or just not knowing, I suppose, in general, how their experience compared. But I think that even if I didn't get that, like even if I didn't think that Jonathan Joestar had more experience, I think I still would have gone with him because of the speed and the strength and the durability and the ripple. Because, you know, like the conclusion talked about, I know I talked about it, where it's just like, if Tanjiro connects, whether that's attacking or blocking, couldn't Jonathan just like ripple him then and there? And it seemed at least like the conclusion backed me up on that thought. And that was a very powerful thing that Tanjiro just couldn't really like defend against or come back from, you know, as far as his regeneration is concerned. As far, again, as I understand it, based upon what Death Battle has presented here. Because, as I'm sure most of you know, if you watch my channel, if you watch these reactions, I really don't know the extent of these characters. I just have to trust that what Death Battle's telling me is accurate. And of course, a lot of times people will tell me that they do get things wrong, but how am I supposed to know? So I just have to go with what they present in these Death Battle episodes and how they present them, and then try to do my best to compare from there. But as far as picking up the differences between like the 40-ton Tanjiro feat and the 80-ton, you know, Jonathan Joestar feat, like I remembered those, like I noticed those, I picked them out. I mean, like I don't remember if they gave numbers on Jonathan's side. I don't think they gave the number or like said it out loud on Tanjiro's. I think I just had to like see it in the picture. Maybe, I don't know. I know that I did see it. So maybe looking for that made me miss them say it. But, you know, I think the numbers are really, really helpful in determining things like this. And then aside from that, it was just a matter of knowing that light is faster than lightning, and by a lot. And so being able to pick up on that, when it was, I think, very briefly mentioned in Jonathan Joestar's analysis, like they focused a little bit more, I think, or, I mean, it wasn't really a focus, but it was less of a passing mention on Tanjiro's part with dodging lightning. And, you know, it's not nearly as good. So I'm satisfied with my prediction, with the way that the conclusion, you know, like kind of backed me up on the things that I was saying as far as why Jonathan Joestar would win this fight. So I'm satisfied with this matchup and with, you know, my dealing with it. So yay. So as for the fight, I liked it. I think that it was fun. I enjoyed I think they pulled off the 2D nature, the sprite nature of this fight pretty well. Like some of the sprite work wasn't as aesthetically pleasing as I think it could have been. It's always hard, like sprite work, I'm always so torn between it because I like what you can do with so little, but at the same time, like, I mean, it's sprite work. It's like, it's pixel art. And so depending, of course, on like how like large an image you're doing, the pixels are going to be very obvious. And usually standing alone, it's not, I guess it's not as striking to me. Sometimes when it's, you know, a lot of movement is involved, then it can start to look a little bit more hazy and a little bit more questionable in terms of quality. I don't even know if like I felt that way about this one. That's just something that I think I get sometimes with sprite battles and animation in general. So just explaining it here. But I liked it, is what I'm saying, overall. And my favorite part about the fight was the character interactions. You know, I liked getting, you know, little glimpses into their heads. You know, Tanjiro's thoughts about him being like a little puppy. Jonathan Joestar's thoughts about, well, I mean, just, you know, his triumphant, gentlemanly nature of trying to save him from the demon lady, you know, by killing him, I suppose, which is a little bit off, but, you know, Tanjiro really should have said something about his sister before croaking, but, you know, you do what you can do, I guess. If you feel like you have to murder a guy instead, I guess murder a guy instead, and then when you fail to do that, then let him know she's your sister, whatever. But the moment of, like, you know, Jonathan's crying at the end is like, as a gentleman, I will protect her. And the music at the end with, like, the hands coming to touch, I thought that was nice. So, I suppose as far as the battle is concerned, I did enjoy those elements more than, like, the choreography and sprite work themselves. But that's not to say that I didn't enjoy those parts either. They just weren't the highlights of the battle for me. You know, yeah, it was totally like the personalities of the characters and the interactions that, to me, were the highlights of this one. Whereas, like, if you look at, you know, like Sauron versus Lich King, the visuals were like very good. You know, like aesthetically, I thought it was very pleasing, just like the stage and the character models. But then it was like the choreography and the movement and a lot of like the I just didn't understand what was going on in that battle as much. That's where it lacked to me. In this one, it was kind of the opposite, I think. The analyses, I enjoyed them. I didn't think there was anything like outstanding about them. There was nothing that was like particularly special, but you know, I had a good time with it. I had some laughs. I felt that I learned enough. I mean, evidently, right? I learned enough to predict the winner as far as they supplied it. Because again, people are always going to, you know, fight about who would actually win. There are always going to be people opposing Death Battle's decisions, but you know, I'm working with what I got here. Death Battle thinks that Jonathan Joestar would win in this matchup, so that means that based on what they provided, I was right. So, yay. So the next time, Thor versus Vegeta. I don't know. I assume it's just, because they didn't specify, I assume it's just any Thor. All of Thor, you know, like Marvel. I assume it's Marvel's Thor that they're looking at here. But I guess it could, yeah, right, it has to be Marvel's Thor. They wouldn't just bring in a Norse god versus Vegeta all of a sudden. It's got to be Marvel's Thor. I don't know how powerful he is. I know that Vegeta does get really powerful. And I know that last time there was like a Marvel versus, you know, Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super, just Dragon Ball in general matchup. I overestimated Marvel. So maybe this time I need to be in favor of Vegeta, but like I am not sure. I'm really not sure about this next one right now. You know, I guess I'll think on it between now and then, but yeah, it'll be interesting. Cause like, are they going to bring up, I mean, I guess they wouldn't have any reason to bring up like Vegeta or Gogeta, because the reason they did that for Broly was because Broly fought and like did well against Gogeta. So like, and Gogeta Blue at that. So I don't think there would be a reason to bring that up. Of course, they're going to bring up Super Saiyan Blue, and I imagine Super Saiyan Blue evolved for Vegeta, but that's not the same power level as Gogeta. No, can't be. So anyway, let me know what you thought about this death battle in the comments below, whether you liked it, whether you disliked it, what you thought about this or that, etc. So on. And next time we will be watching Thor versus Vegeta. So I hope you're looking forward to that. But yes, with that, we're calling it here. So have a good one, everybody.